There is no doubt that AI and automation tools can help you scale your impact on LinkedIn. They can also blow up your brand credibility. In today's episode, I want to step you through how you stay on the right side of that line. G'day everyone, it's Coach Michelle J. Raymond, your trusted guide for building your brand and your business on LinkedIn. And marketers, this week on the podcast, I wanted to go back to all things AI and automation because last year when I first spoke about it, of course, AI was all the rage. It was the hype. It was blowing up on LinkedIn and everybody wanted to know what it was. And the growth that went through in such a short period of time was just absolutely phenomenal. Coming into this year, however, I think some of that hype wore off. And now as marketers, we're trying to figure out where exactly do these tools fit. And there has been so many AI tools pop up over the last 12 months. And even if we're just looking specifically at the ones that can help you with marketing, it is mind-blowing the number that are out there. And I know that there's also a pressure internally for people to start adopting these tools and increase productivity. I think this is a really dangerous combination. It's like gasoline and fire, and it's going to blow up. And I'm a little bit nervous, and I wanted to bring this up this week because as I was scrolling LinkedIn, I noticed that there was a founder of a particular online software that was announcing that they were closing at the end of August. Now, this is a super popular tool that a lot of well-known people were using. It was quite highly regarded, but unfortunately, they got busted by LinkedIn's legal team. And whatever the impact is from that, will go from there. But my question for you is, how much do you know about these tools that you're reviewing right now that you want to implement in your business, whether they actually are aligned with the LinkedIn user agreement? So I am going to go back to that because I think if you understand where LinkedIn's coming from, then you can make more wise choices when you're looking at this stuff. Because honestly, you go to the sales pages of most of these tools, and of course you're going to sign up. They're going to save you so much time. They're going to make sure that you get all of these new opportunities. You're going to be faster. I don't know. What are you going to be doing? Sipping cocktails in the Bahamas while this automation tool does everything for you? I mean, sounds great to me. Sign me up today. But LinkedIn has other plans. And as I always say, it's their sandpit, we play in it, so we want to make sure we play by their rules. So I'm going to go over the LinkedIn user agreement. I'm going to talk about what some of these tools might do. And most importantly, what are the kinds of tools that you should look out for that I think will make a big difference and can really help you, but they don't abuse the user agreement. And that is something that we've got to definitely always make sure that we are familiar with and that we abide by, because the risk is, and it's a very real risk, I know many people that this has actually happened to, so real people that I know have lost their entire LinkedIn accounts. If you lost your LinkedIn account today and had to start from scratch, if you're allowed to, how long would it take you to replace it? I'm 10 years in. I don't have 10 years to rebuild everything. Are you the same? That's why this is important. Let's start with the easy part, the LinkedIn user agreement. It is fully accessible to anybody. I will put the link in the show notes as well so you can access it. But take a look at their list of do's and don'ts. And pretty much the don'ts are pretty simple and obvious, but I still encourage you to go through and make yourself familiar with these things. What LinkedIn don't want you to do is impersonate somebody else. So you have to show up on LinkedIn as yourself. Okay, yep, let's go with that. The other things that they want you to do, make sure that you don't try and game the system. Shout out to all of those who are promoting engagement pods. You are trying to game the system. They're onto you. It's against the user agreement. What else do we have? No automation. LinkedIn is not into all things automation, full stop. If a tool that you are looking at online is suggesting that they can automate things like connection requests, response messages, anything along those lines, no matter how much they're trying to convince you that it's okay, I promise you it is not, and don't think that you'll get away with it, right? Because they are even more so on the hunt for this stuff right now. Why do I know it? Because I've had a couple of my own company page comments that I've done on my own personal posts that had been flagged as suspicious automation activity, of which I could then go and appeal to LinkedIn. And of course, the comments got reinstated. I didn't get too upset that they'd picked up my own comments on my own post, because I feel like whenever they're putting in these new tools to try and catch these types of behaviors, something's not going to be perfect. And for me, I would rather them get some of the calls wrong and then have us be able to appeal them and get them approved than have this automation stuff running rampant all over the platform. Can I just put it out there? Like, this automation rubbish, doing crap things at scale is not going to help you grow your business. There, I said it. Like, I've been trying to pussyfoot around this one, but if you don't have a strategy, if you don't even do the work on positioning and messaging, if you don't even understand your target audience, you are just going to be doing more rubbish activity at a bigger scale and ruining it for all of us, because I think people are just so fatigued with this rubbish. The automated comments that just regurgitate the post and the false praises that they leave you in those comments. Like, honestly, like, no one's into it. No one's falling for it. We know that they're fake. We can't stand it as a LinkedIn community. Like, no one asked for it. No one wanted it. I'd rather have no comments than rubbish pretend ones from an automated system. LinkedIn is never going to let you automate things. And that goes for those tools that also scrape data from LinkedIn accounts. Another one of my pet peeves and bugbears is the tools that do that, because then we're now receiving, I get automatic events into my email, like, which is annoying. I'm getting newsletters that I never signed up for. I'm getting invites to things that I'm like, who are you? Where did you even come from? Like, why do people think that this works? And it's really annoying. And it's not just my personal preferences. I'm pretty sure it's universally annoying. So can we just stop, right? Marketers, let's just stop. That kind of behavior is so uncool. There are so many local laws around the world that protect people from that. So why do we think it's okay when it comes to LinkedIn? It's just not. LinkedIn doesn't want you to do it. They are never going to encourage some of these types of tools. Why? Because they've got this thing called Sales Navigator that they want you to sign up for. So that's their answer. Is it as good? No, I don't think so. It's good at what it does, but it certainly doesn't replace some of these CRM style automation and AI tools that are out there. I get it. I get the appeal, but just know the risk is always going to be your LinkedIn account. And I can never condone you taking actions that I, hand on heart, know are going to impact your account. So imagine if you put forward one of these tools as a recommendation within your business, your CEO signs up, they've got, 20 odd thousand connections or followers, bang, there goes the account. You can't get it back, start from scratch. That's going to require a pretty damn convincing please explain when that happens. And I actually think that would put your job at risk. I don't think anyone ever intentionally sets out to do things like this and put accounts at risk. But if you aren't educated about the rules of LinkedIn through the user agreement, then you are just playing a game of Russian roulette that I personally would never feel comfortable doing that in a work environment. I certainly don't feel comfortable doing it with any of my clients, no matter how much they beg me and say, Michelle, can I use this tool or that tool? And I'm like, no, just don't, just run the other direction. So after this, let's talk about what kinds of tools are helpful to scale your impact, to help you lift your productivity, to make creating content easier. What kinds of things can we be using? Let's talk about the safe stack for B2B marketers. What are the kinds of tools that are out there that will help you and not break the user agreement? Of course, we've got tools out there that will help you with your research. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. That list is so long these days, I'm not even going to try and list them all off. But ultimately, that can help you do your research in ways that if you were to try and do it by yourself in the olden days of just 2024, then it would take you hours and hours in a lot of cases when it comes to creating great thought leadership style content. from that perspective, we can take on that research and then put the human element into it. So you still have to do some work. We can't just outsource the whole thing to these kinds of tools and expect them to come up with miracles. The other side to this is it can then take repurposing your existing content and turning that into all kinds of different formats and making it so much easier. Whether you are taking long form transcripts from podcasts or videos and turning them into posts, you could have a long form video going into short form video clips. You can have a blog turned into posts, like you name it. There are so many different ways that you can do it. From this podcast transcript, I will always create my LinkedIn newsletter. That I absolutely love. The tools are there to save us time when it comes to that. I think it's always good when you've got something longer. The tools are great at cutting it down into shorter and really capturing your voice and your tone and your messages in your own words. So I always find for myself, with the content that we create at B2B Growth Co. for us, it always feels so much better when it has been done from my long form content in my words back to short and not the other way around. Do you find that? Let me know in the comments or direct message me over on LinkedIn if we're connected there, and let me know which way do you find it's more helpful. The other thing that it can do, which I love, is captions and generating alternative text for images, which is really important for accessibility. I love the tools that do that. Like, shout out to the team at Metrical. One of the features I've never spoken about, which I love, is now when you upload images with your posts on there, you can click on a button that does the alt text for images. And honestly, it nails it every single time. And I stopped doing alt text for my images a while back because I always felt a bit awkward. Like, how do I describe myself in an image? And it is just taking that awkwardness away. So love the tools for things like this. Optimization of your existing content. Tools like Grammarly, I couldn't live without. Checking my grammar, checking my spelling. I love the confidence that it gives me to make sure that my content's going out in the best version that still sounds like me. And it's important to me that I come across as professional, even if my post is some kind of craziness around Tim Tams on a Friday. I still want to be professional. And maybe that's just because I've got my grandmother in the back of my head who was always correcting my spelling mistakes. Maybe it's like a leftover from that, her little red pen that would correct things. But I think it's important to pay attention to details, because then my clients also know that I pay attention to details when I'm creating content for CEOs or for their company pages. I've got to get these things right. And I think tools like Grammarly are amazing for that. The other kinds of tools that I think AI tools, which are amazing, is all around analytics. And there's some cool ways that are starting to show up, and it's just magic, some of the insights that it's bringing out. So I'm going to do some more content around that in the future, because it is just me way at the beginning of the phase, and analytics aren't really my strong point, and just putting that out there, analyzing things is not what I like. And hence why having these tools to do it, oh, yes, I'm in. This is why these tools can be so good at picking up the slack or complementing the skills that you may or may not have, and making things still possible to create even better content for your audience. There's a couple that I really love. Authored Up is one of them. You may have seen it if you want support while you're actually writing. So things like spelling and laying out your paragraphs and making it easy for other people to read. Authored Up is great. It does not break the LinkedIn user agreement. So go and check that out. Great for creating your content. Another shout out that I'll give to is the team at the Lime One. So shout out to Charlie. Ultimately, they've created a really cool tool, which again does not break the LinkedIn user agreement. And they're in discussions to have a partnership created with LinkedIn. But ultimately, it's a great tool for, when you want to make sure that you're commenting on certain people's posts all the time and you want to nurture relationships. But LinkedIn doesn't really give you any good tools unless you're paying for Sales Navigator. And even then, I don't think it's so great. But ultimately, it is just been designed so that you can comment strategically. No automations, no getting this thing to do it on your behalf, but it does give you a way that you can keep a track of when the last time was, and you can create lists. So shout out to the team at the Lime One. So I'm going to put the links to these in the show notes so you can go and check them out as well. Another tool, which I think is a way that you can make the most of the content that you're creating and save time. Of course, I'm going to say Metrical. Yes, they are the podcast sponsors, but we also use Metrical in our business to schedule all of our content for ourselves, for our clients. And the way it's so easy to move things around, to repurpose content, to figure out what's working, what's not, identify any gaps in the content. Like, it has just become my go-to tool that makes life so much easier. So when you can just take a post and copy paste for some time in the future, your evergreen content, that's saving me time. Now, where is all of this time savings go for me in our business? That is going to trying to build better products for our clients and nurture relationships. The more that I get my time freed up, the more I can focus on the people that I want to have business relationships with or have had, and make sure that those clients get the best experiences. So find these cool tools to free up your time, to reinvest that time back in things that really make a difference. As we wrap up today's episode, there is one thing that I recommend to my clients, and I'll recommend to you also, listeners, when it comes to these tools, automation, and AI. I think it's really important that you create an AI social media policy that outlines all of the approved tools and those that have red flags. Because quite often you'll have people within your team that are going off and doing their own research, finding tools which are popular but not on the safe list. And again, they're not educated around the risks. And that's why I'm telling you here today, so you can keep an eye out for this kind of stuff. I think having an AI social media policy is just a really clear and easy way that you can protect your brand on LinkedIn. And that, at the end of the day, is what this episode is about. Find the tools that increase your productivity that you can then reinvest into building more human connection, whether it's into your content, whether it's building connections, whether it's building community on your page or your personal accounts. Either way, find a way to use that time wisely. So until next week, everyone, cheers.